Soul Fam, I want to make a video addressing bipolar and spiritual awakening. In my breathwork class, we're activating our DNA. And as we activate our DNA, we are activating our multidimensional selves. Our multidimensional selves includes our ancestors. If you have a team of guardian angels, or if you have like a spirit team of ancestors and guardian angels and maybe some interdimensional beings, Arcturians and stuff, this is all aspects of you. Okay, so people who have what is known as bipolar disorder go through these spiritual awakening manic episodes where they feel a huge surge of light, and it feels realer than real. And they may, common themes are feeling like you're the chosen one or you're Christ, you know, having a lot of synchronicities, seeing numbers, feeling connected to the weather and all this stuff. So that is a real spiritual experience, and that is what is going to be happening to us as we bring more of the spirit into the body. However, it's important for us to be fluent in how to navigate the dimensions. So levels 1 through 3, like the 3D, this is our physical reality, okay? Then, so what you're doing is you're opening to receiving a lot more light. And usually people who have these quote unquote disorders are very powerful people who wield a lot of light. So D4, the fourth dimension, is the astral plane. So this is the plane of causality. So on Earth, our physical reality, what we experience, is not where things are created. We do not create matter to matter. We create in the astral realm, archetypal mind, and the celestial mind of angels. So yeah, D4, D5, and D6 is the astral mind, which is where you may see demons. You could see all kinds of crazy stuff in the astral mind. And the astral mind can be very deceptive, especially if it's fear. So the astral mind is also the realm of dreams, just like the archetypal mind. So all of these D4, D5, D6, this is the archetypal mind is like the realm of tarot and the realm of archetypes. So each of us, you know, I could say my favorite deities. I can list some of my favorite deities, like the Green Tara and Isis and Jesus, right? So these are archetypes that I work with or that I embody. So I can embody Isis, but you can also embody Isis if you want to. I'm not the only Isis. There's millions of Isises around the world and millions of people working with the Green Tara. So, and the celestial mind of angels, similarly, okay, so the D7 through 9 is the realm of archangels. So angels and archangels are really just the arcs and angles of reality. So we're going into these higher dimensions, which are the building blocks of our 3D reality. So what I want to say is you're getting surges of light. Now, all religions are maps of consciousness. Some of them are more helpful than others. Some of them might lead you to a hell realm. Some of them have been purposely distorted to make you give your power up, right? So, you know, in a golden age, we are all directly connected to God's source. We're all directly connected to God within us, and we understand that we are all a part of the one and that we're not separate, and we operate in a way that is harmonious because we understand that we're all connected and we're all a part of God. But the further out in the dark age that we got, the more separate we got, and so we had to create all these religions, and some of them end up even taking us further away from God. However, if you study all of the religions, like I have, not all of them, but, you know, study Hinduism, study Buddhism, study Christianity, different kinds of Christianity, study Sufism, you can see how these maps of consciousness give you tools for navigating these realms. So one thing that the Sufis say, Sufism is great because it's all based around heart consciousness. So if you're experiencing these surges of awakening, spiritual awakening, and you're not exactly sure how to filter the information in a way that's helpful to your 3D reality, like you don't want to end up in jail and you don't want to like freak everyone out by telling them that you're Jesus. So what the Sufis really, they're masters of the heart, and they bring everything back to the heart and connecting to God through the heart. And that's a very safe way of navigating the 3D, or of bringing this higher information in a helpful way into the 3D. So when my gifts started to open up, I was granted access to see through my third eye, which could show me into the astral realm, the archetypal mind, and the celestial mind. Let's say when I first started, it was more like the astral mind and maybe the archetypal mind, right? So the astral mind can be very deceptive, right? So one thing that the Sufis say is when you have a dream, when the Sufis do dream work, they say that when you have a nightmare or when you have a bad dream, that it's simply not true. So the point is to get to the point where you're feeling like the universe truly is conspiring in your favor. So there's this joke, a psychology joke that I like. It's like, what's the difference between a mystic and a paranoid schizophrenic? And it's that the mystic believes that the universe is conspiring for them, and the paranoid person believes that the universe is conspiring against them. So a lot of our talented spiritual people with spiritual gifts, end up getting stuck in the lower astral, or simply getting overloaded with information that doesn't have the proper structure, like strength to hold it all, to filter it through. So for example, I can work with the goddess Isis. And maybe we will get to the point in our collective where that can be like easily accepted, like everyone is working with the goddess Isis and it's all good. But at the point in consciousness where most people are right now, and there's going to be a tipping point soon because so many of us are waking up, but the masses of consciousness are still living in an extremely limited and distorted system, okay? So when you're experiencing a mania, and this mania feels realer than real, it is real. You just need to become fluent in the levels of dimensions of like, where is this information coming from and where is it meant to be used? So when I'm working, say, on I can use my angelic body in a different dimension, and I can move energy around, and this will eventually trickle down to the 3D. And that's how it's helpful. Similarly, I can use archetypal symbols in my mind in a higher dimension, and this will eventually help hold the structure in my 3D reality. So this part, I'm not a master of exactly knowing every single thing. I wrote this stuff down. I got this specific information that, who has it mapped out really well is the Christos Avatar people, which is the work of Ashiana Dean. And I don't necessarily condone her or her work. I can't really put my stamp of approval on. I would just say take what resonates and leave what doesn't. I do really resonate with the work of Lisa Renee, which is very similar, but it even gets to the point where we get into all these astral battles and interdimensional battles and like the good aliens and the bad aliens. And I really believe in oneness consciousness. So I believe that at this point in human history, we're really moving into oneness consciousness. So that means integrating every single aspect of reality back into the wholeness, the peace within ourselves. So yeah, you can read some of these intergalactic histories, and it's like, oh, the Lyrans are warring with the Orions or whatever. And that's okay. Like, I can have, in my human Earth 3D DNA, I can have conflict between men and women. I can have conflict between the Irish and the English. I can have all of these wars, even just within myself, right? I can have a conflict between my head and my heart. I can have a conflict between my head and my stomach, whatever. So we don't need to focus or amp up the wars. We want to bring everything back to a place of oneness. So let's talk about the Christ complex. Is that what it's called? When we think we're Jesus, right? So that's super normal. And the thing is that we are all Jesus, okay? We are all Jesus, and it's important that you know that, and it's important that you feel that, and it's important that you act on that. However, let it be, we are moving into that. So when you go into your manic state and you feel that you can do miracles and you feel that you're connected to everything and the clock is showing you the 333 and all that stuff, that's okay, and it's normal, and that's where we're moving. You're ahead of the game. However, you need to become more fluent. So practices like yoga, even whichever religions you find helpful. Hinduism is a beautiful map. Sufism is a beautiful map. Aspects of Jesus's teachings are a beautiful map. These are maps of how to wield this light. So light is just information, and you will find that the higher you go and the brighter you get, the more you will have to also expand into looking at darkness and just being aware of darkness. And as a collective, where we are is that the lights are fully on. The lights are on. That's why we're seeing all of these horrible things come to light. But these horrible things have been happening for a long time. There's just no separation now. So how do we even as a collective process all of that information? So that's what these tools, these structures, these religions, these maps, these things help us process and digest this stuff. So staying in the heart is also another great way to process all the information. So say your head is giving you all kinds of crazy information, like you're Jesus and like you're supposed to save the world and all that stuff, and it's true, but you need to bring it down through your heart, and then when it gets into your heart, it slows down, and when you're thinking with your heart, as if your heart has eyes and your heart has a brain, then everything it gets filtered in a way that's actually helpful in this dimension. So the heart represents the plumed serpent, the Quetzalcoatl. The serpent is the feminine wisdom of tasting and knowing. She knows in her belly. She can taste it. She can smell it. It's very intimate. And the plumed aspect is the celestial or the masculine aspect, which is more detached. So when we bring all of it can see further. It has a bigger, broader view. So when you bring all of this into the heart, that is an integration, and that's when it can come together in a peaceful way. So don't get freaked out, okay? Don't get freaked out. But I know that when you go into those manic states, it feels realer than real. It feels realer than real. You feel creative, you feel connected, you feel you can do anything. And that is where we are headed as a species. But we have to collectively also anchor that in, because there's so much darkness still in our collective consciousness that needs to be moved through. Because when we turn the lights on that bright, that's when we start to see all the child trafficking, all the distorted sex stuff, all of this distorted stuff that's happening. So you need to become masterful at wielding your light, because you are ahead of the game. Like when the lights go on for you, the lights really go on for you. And that's where we are all headed. That's where we are all headed. Okay. So yeah, so I'm just going to read a little bit of this, and I encourage you to research it on your own. And I couldn't even, copy it all because it's kind of blurry, because they want you to buy it. So I recommend that you buy it, and I'm probably going to buy it too. Go to the Christos Avatar website, and then he has this like printout page that can show you all the dimensions. So then you want to become fluent in the dimensions. So you can also go to my website, lovelikeanocean.com, and there I have a shadow work exercise which works with the archetypal mind, which is the 5D. So it's based, one of the exercises, or the advanced version of the exercise, is to go through every single tarot card and to say, yes, I am this too. Yes, I am this too. So the first part of the exercise is to pull 3 cards, say, okay, what archetype am I, right? You know how I said, like, oh, I like to be Isis in the Green Tara, and I like to call upon these qualities, and I like to cultivate these qualities and embody these qualities. You know, I could say that I'm the Priestess archetype, or I'm the Queen of Swords archetype, or these are all archetypes that I identify with. But when I first got my Thoth deck, I pulled some cards, and it was like Death, the Hanged Man. It was like all these quote unquote bad cards. And then I find that I have this aversion to it, and that is what we need to integrate. That's what we need to look at. So by the time we can peacefully feel that we are at peace with everything, that we're at peace with all of it, that, oh yes, I am the embodiment of the Death archetype card in tarot, and that, you know, but we can all be every archetype, and that's how we really bring everything into the light. So the first part of the exercise is you just pull 3 cards, and you notice like where you have aversion to it because you wanted to be the queen but you really pulled the fool, or something like that. So just noticing like where we're clinging to our own like ego identity, like we all want to be the queen, but then but we're all the fool, you know, we're all everything, and that's okay. And by the time we're all everything and that's okay, that's when we have peace on earth. So this peace on earth is an inner job, inside job. Okay. So yeah, so the first part of the exercise is like to pull 3 cards and just notice like where you're like, oh yeah, I'm the queen, and then where you're like, oh no, I'm not the Hanged Man, or whatever it is, or the Tower. I think the first time I opened my Thoth deck, I got like every bad card possible, and my ego was just like, this is evil. And that's the point of it, right? To allow us to integrate every single aspect of that dimension. So by the time you can move through the astral realm is the 4th dimension. The astral realm is full of tricks and shadows and ghosts and scary things and bad dreams, right? And a lot of people who get diagnosed with schizophrenia will get stuck in these realms, the astral realm, the archetypal mind, the astral realm, and you get spooked by all these shadows, right? All of these shadows are really just aspects of our own mind that need to be elevated and integrated and loved and accepted. So, okay, so D4, D5, and D6 is the astral mind. So we have, and that's fear too. And that the 4th dimension is what creates the 3rd dimension. So things are created first in the 4th dimension before they materialize. That is why you literally attract what you're afraid of. But the universe hears prayer, like worrying is literally praying for what you don't want. And fear and excitement, fear and desire are heard exactly the same by the universe. So desire is just an elevated version of fear. And fear is just like a lower vibrational version of desire, but they're actually the same thing. So if you notice that you're directly afraid of something, you can say like, what is that fear protecting? Like, what is it? If I'm afraid of being unsafe, then what's the desire? Oh, the desire is to be safe. So you focus on that, and that's how you create that. But if you focus on the fear of not being safe, then you're literally attracting that. Okay, so you have to move through the 4D, the realm of like spooky shadows, but it doesn't have to be spooky shadows. By the time you can go through every card in the tarot deck and be like, yes, I am the Fool, yes, I am the Hanged Man, yes, I am the Queen, yes, I am everything, I am everything, I am everything, I am everything. By the time you can do that and truly feel peace and feel neutrality inside of you, that's when you can sail on through the fourth dimension astral mind. You have more mastery for manifestation in the 3D. So the archetype mind, this holds structures for us, right? So you have to understand at what level you're operating, like where you're coming from when you're having these manic states. The celestial mind is the 6D, that's angels. So angels are also the building blocks of reality. The angels are the angles. So if you see, like say you're sitting in a circle of your friends, and say you're gonna just zoom out and make it really psychedelic, then just imagine that each person is a unique snowflake. Like we're each holding our own sacred geometry combination of light and color, right? So we're not in our skin anymore, we're just all holding a frequency. And the frequency could be seen as just geometrical shapes and color. That is the arcs and angles. So that's, and so when we're coming into our Christed form, which is our crystalline form, we're working on that geometrical shape and making it harmonious. So when we have karmic looping or karmic patterns or toxic patterns or unhelpful patterns that seem to have so much momentum, that's a part of the shape of our snowflake. So when we call it back into the whole and we're creating a more beautiful shape. Okay, so so then D7, D8, D9, it says catheric, monadic, and Cariatic mind. Now, I don't really know what all that means, but those are the realms of the archangels. So that's also kind of just like the pillars of reality, like the arcs and the angles, So this is just like the building blocks of what actually manifests in the 3D. Then D10, D11, D12, Christiac mind, Buddhiac mind, and Nirvanic mind, okay? So like use your imagination about what that means. But, okay, and then D13, 14, and 15 is the Rishi, which in Hinduism, these are immortal beings. They're beings that don't die. So the higher up we go, the less individuated we are. So as you go up into these, like by the time you're in an archetypal mind, you're not the only one dreaming or connecting with that archetype. So you become a part of, so when I'm working in the archetypal mind, I can say an affirmation to myself, I am the most beautiful woman in the world, or I am the embodiment of perfect health and beauty. And I'm not saying that from an individuated space. I'm connecting into a greater archetypal energy that anybody can channel. Anybody can channel queen energy. Anybody can channel mastery or diamond or these like top, we all are channeling these same. So the higher up you get, you're actually operating as a collective. So yeah, you are Jesus and we're all Jesus, and that's okay and that's beautiful. And we're also all the fool, because you can't get to be Jesus without being the fool. So I recommend looking at, I recommend becoming fluent in what the dimensions mean. I recommend learning how to wield your power. You are powerful. You are a pioneer. You are bringing in the golden age. You're important. And you don't need to be afraid of your power. You need to learn how to wield it. You need to become fluent in the symbols of the different dimensions. So you need to understand like what level that aspect is coming from. So like I said, when my psychic gifts first started to come on, I was seeing all kinds of stuff with my third eye, and I would be in session with people and I might share it, but what I found was that it wasn't actually helpful to people. Maybe it was too much information, maybe it was scary, maybe it was negative. And in order to make it actually positive and helpful in the 3D, I had to filter everything through my heart. And then I could share with them. So in order to do that, I have to slow way down and I have to let the consciousness come through my heart, okay? So I recommend looking up, so for example, if you listen to Lisa Renee's work, you're not listening to it like, okay, I'm gonna take notes on this and I'm gonna memorize it and it's literal in the 3D. Her work is full of, it's very, very heavy and multi, triple, quadruple dimensional. Just like the Buddhist sutras all have a secret meaning, a hidden meaning, a literal meaning, right? So like a conch shell in a Buddhist art, it's gonna mean like 4 different things on different levels. Like on one level, it's a conch shell. But on the other level, it's like a summoning device. And on another level, it's just light moving through the universe, you know? So you need to become fluent in the language of each dimension. And realize how, and then you need to ask yourself and ask your higher self to help you understand, how does this help me in my 3D? How do I wield this power and this light? How do I anchor this light, apply this light, filter this light into my 3D in a way that's actually helpful? Now, when you go into those God-like states that you get in, that someday will be the norm. That will be the norm. Like, we will all just be gods, like, just like commanding reality, right? And I know that you know that. Because I know when you're in those states, it's realer than real, and it's actually enjoyable a lot of the time for a lot of you. So don't get freaked out by your power, but do become fluent in the symbols and dimensions and what each thing means. So like, yeah, I might get a message like, I'm queen of the world. Now that doesn't mean that I have to go around in the 3D acting like I'm queen of the world. That means on some dimension, I'm connecting with a shape of an energy that's helping me hold a structure in my 3D reality that is anchoring into a collective of energies that is holding exalted qualities. You know what I mean? So, okay, so getting back to Lisa Renee's work, yeah, it sounds really crazy. Like, I tell people, I recommend some of her stuff, but I tell people, like, don't get too caught up on the details. Like, don't get 3D about it. Get out of your head and just let it wash over you as symbols. Because she may say something that she'll say, like, well, let's see, everything has 3 or 4 layers of meaning. So she'll say, like, the red dragon queen, right? So red holds so much meaning and so many different like levels of what that energy is wielding. And dragon also holds so many meanings and like physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, like what that is holding in the holographic fractal reality. And then queen, that also holds like many, many, many layers and levels of reality, right? So it's not meaning that all of a sudden, like in the 3D reality, you're going to be riding around as the Red Dragon Queen. Although we can get to that when we collectively dream it together. And so, which one is it? I want to say it's like 12D, the nirvanic mind, which is when we can move into our Merkaba body. And that's when we're going to be able to teletransport and like turn our bodies into UFOs and go around. So don't get freaked out, okay, you guys, because what your manic episodes are real spiritual awakenings. You just need to become more masterful in your ability to hold and wield the light and to ask your higher self and your heart to help guide you into like what's actually helpful in the 3D. And you need to slow down. You need to slow way down, filter everything through your heart. And maybe study some of this Christos avatar, which I'm just kind of scratching the surface on myself. I want to get the that chart that they made. And then you can look at my website, the shadow work worksheet with there's a few exercises. So you really want to be able to integrate all of reality harmoniously into the oneness consciousness of understanding that you are everything and you're connected to everything. And then even if there's aspects that appear to be demonic or bad or externalized or at war or attacking you, or you can even integrate those back in a good way, in a harmonious way, back into your holographic reality. So a lot of people who have been diagnosed with mental illness, such as schizophrenia, bipolar, I don't know. I mean, you guys are spiritually gifted. However, you do need to learn how to wield that. Like, honestly, Christianity is not a good enough tool to get you through it all the way. You're going to have to use some more tools. Christianity in its current form will take you to a hell realm. However, if you listen to the teachings of Jesus Christ, that could take you somewhere else. But it could take you somewhere good. However, you're gonna have to use more tools. Like, Buddhism is an amazing tool, Sufism is an amazing tool, but Christianity in the actual like formal church format will actually take you to a hell realm, and it will get you very confused. So I have a cousin who's very brilliant and shamanic, but he suffers from schizophrenia, which is really just a shamanic mind who didn't learn how to neutralize these more shadowy aspects of the astral realm. But through practices like Buddhism, even some maps of Hinduism, Sufism, we learn how to see everything in love and to neutralize some of these negative aspects through compassion. So seek out tools, seek out help, develop your own mastery. Your heart is a huge tool. You can get a lot of answers from there. It'll slow you down. It'll ground you, connect with the earth, clear your ancestral lines. And I'm available also for sessions, lovelikeanocean.com. Currently, I'm doing everything on a conscious donation basis. So good luck, and I appreciate you, and I see you, and I see your brilliance, and I see your spiritual power. So be careful, but don't be afraid. Okay. Thanks for tuning in.